to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. Well, what a fabulous time of the year it might be wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours. For us here on the Gold Coast this morning, it's incredibly chilly. It's gone back into winter, or that's what it feels like anyway for the next few days. So wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying some sunshine and some time out in the fresh air and being able to sort of just re-energize your body, mind and soul, because it has been a very, very difficult 18 months, 2 years, where I think a lot of us now are sort of starting to sort of feel like we just want things to be simple. We just like to go back to the simple life. And I know there's been many songs written about that, and I won't burst into song and bore you. But anyway, the Simply Tarot card of the week is the Five of Pentacles. Now, this is an interesting card because it's a card of two stories, I suppose. The first part of the story is delays around money. Now, when we talk about delays around money, it doesn't necessarily mean a shortage of money. It doesn't mean money's drying up. It just means that sometimes things can be slightly delayed. So if you were due a payment today, it might be a few hours late or a day late or something like that. It can also just mean that everything's sort of slowing up around you as far as finances, but it doesn't mean there isn't money coming in. The secondary part of this card, which I thought was rather interesting, is coming in from the cold. Now, the reasons why I'm saying this is interesting, when you look at how long this pandemic has dragged on, I know it's only been just over 18 months, but it feels like 18 years. It's now time that we're starting to sort of feel that we are coming in from the cold, or we're coming in from the dark, cold, dismal days of the pandemic. Look, I know it's a long way from being over, but for many of us, there is more freedoms, there's opportunities to get out and have some form of a normal life again as countries and localities are starting to sort of open up and finding a way to sort of live with COVID, whether that's acceptable or whether it's not, that's not for me to decide. But it is sort of the whole world is trying to come out of this in some sort of way and take back their power, I think, in a sense. So that's what that card represents to me. So it's going to be another interesting segment as far as astrology is concerned. Every week I sort of feel as if we've got so much to talk about. I don't know what we used to do before. Before the pandemic, I don't know that there was as much emphasis on what was happening in the solar system as there is now, because everything just seems to be each week very, very intense. Now, this week, the flavour of the week is on earth signs, or the earthy sort of energy. We've got the sun's just moved into Virgo, where it'll do its little stint for close on 30 days. So the sun in Virgo to me is a time of the year, no matter what your star sign is, where we should start to look at our own physical health. Is there something that we can do to improve it? Now, look, even the most stringent, disciplined person that eats right, exercises right, and gets plenty of sleep and drinks plenty of water has a slack attack from time to time. But for the most of us mere mortals, it's about trying to survive and get through our day with the minimum of fuss. And, we try and feed ourselves somewhere along the way, and sometimes it's not as healthy as it could be. So I'd like you for the next couple of weeks to really focus on how you can improve that. How can you improve your physical health by watching what you're putting in your mouth? And it's not saying that you've got to give up all your little treats. It's about planning. It's about organisation. It's about looking at what you can do. Is there some meals that you can prepare ahead so that you're not grabbing that very sort of calorie-driven, no nutrition, lunch or snack during the day at work or when you're out and about? Can you take something with you that is easy to work with and something that's full of nutrition? Now, a lot of people sort of say to me, look, Amanda, yes, I like physical exercise, but I can't really manage to fit it in my day. Well, I think we all need to sort of start looking at maybe organising our time a little bit better, that you actually slot in an appointment for doing some exercise or doing some yoga or just doing some meditation, allowing yourself some downtime off the clock. And that's what the Virgo energy is asking each and every one of us to do, is to look at our physical health. For me, I'm always a busy person, and that was the only way I found that I could fit everything in was I actually booked appointments with myself to have some downtime or to go and get some exercise or just take some time for me. So it's a good little trick to do, because that way when you're planning your day out and you've got it in sections, you've actually scheduled some time off, and that's really important. So we have Mars, the planet of action, sometimes affectionately known as the planet of war. And I don't like to look at Mars that way. I look at Mars as the ability for us to get out of bed every day and to have some motivation and some energy. That's what I like to think of Mars as the driving force that makes us all function. Mars is actually holding hands or conjunct Mercury, the planet of communication. Now, they're both sitting in Virgo. So what does this mean? Well, it means that there is a lot of action as far as, we've got a lot of military stuff going on around the world, and particularly in Afghanistan. And that's a terrible tragedy as it's starting to unfold. And it's not my place to sit here and sit in judgment and say what's right or what's wrong. All I can do is share with you the vision that everybody else has seen on their devices and television sets in the last week. And it really is a tragedy unfolding. But the thing is, it's there. It wasn't something that happened overnight. So I suppose, in a sense, we have to look at it and take some sort of ownership for it. But that's not where I want to take Mars conjunct Mercury. Now, Mars conjunct Mercury, to me, let's look at it as we're starting to get some action on the COVID front. Because we're talking about the Virgo energy, we are talking about physical health. So if we look at Mars conjunct Mercury, and hopefully we're starting to get some better communication, some better data, some better understanding of which way this latest strain of COVID is going, and the fact that we need to be sort of maybe broadening our horizons and looking at other methods or other things that we can be doing. Now, I know a number of countries around the world are looking at a booster shot to a vaccine, and there's nothing wrong with that, provided there's been enough vaccine to go around to get everybody vaccinated in the first place in some of those countries that are probably less fortunate. And also the other trend is we're starting to look at vaccinating children, or the potential of vaccinating children under 12. Now, I'm not a medical person, and it's not for me to say what's right or wrong. All I can say is let's look to history and look at some of the other serious illnesses that we have been able to bring under control, and that has been through vaccination. So whether you're a believer in vaccinations or whether you're not, I think we need to look at history to see the amazing work that scientists have been able to do in the past. And maybe we need to have a little bit more faith in that they knew what they were doing then. And given now that we have so much more intelligence and we have so many other more modern ways of dealing with things and finding solutions, maybe we should stop being so critical of, wow, they wound this out too fast, or they haven't had time to look at it. We've got to give credit to our scientists, and we've got to give credit to the people in manufacturing and things like that that have been able to come up with a vaccine so quickly and been able to get it out on the market, that they wouldn't be doing this unless they believed that they, ticked all their boxes. So we have to sort of acknowledge that the world is moving at a much faster pace now than it was 50, 60 years ago when we were fighting polio. So we have to remember, and we have to look at the lessons of the past and be able to move forward. Now, that's what I believe Mars in Mercury is asking us all to do in the sign of Virgo. Now, it's interesting because those two planets are actually making a lovely configuration to a planet called Uranus sitting in Taurus. Now, Virgo and Taurus are earth signs. So when we're looking at a trine or a really lovely aspect like this, we're looking at the opportunity to make things easier, to have some breakthroughs, for things to be on a more positive front. Now, Uranus is the planet of the unusual and the unexpected. So for it to be making a trine to Mars and Mercury, I get quite excited when I see things like this, because it means that we could just have an amazing breakthrough, or we could have, a series of light bulb moments that are really going to change the way that we look at things. Now, because it's in Taurus, Taurus is the energy of money, but it's also about possessions and taking things slowly. It's a very steady sort of sign. So Uranus sitting in Taurus wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable there, because Uranus is an action planet and likes to do things really fast and let's get cracking. And Taurus is saying, no, let's slow down, let's be methodical, let's take our time, let's analyse the answers, let's look at what we're achieving here. So I feel very excited that there could be a breakthrough in maybe the way that we're treating COVID. Maybe we're going to discover a drug or a series of treatments that could really sort of get us ahead of the game here on this Delta strain, and that we could really start to try and turn the story back around again. It sort of saddens me when I, see countries and nations around the world that were doing so well and were doing so well with vaccination, and then all of a sudden to start seeing their numbers creeping back up to where they were before pre-vaccination times. So we have to just all remain strong, remain vigilant, listen to what our local authorities are telling us, and really pay attention. We are all in this together, and we can beat this if we all take responsibility. Instead of fighting the system, let's go with the system. Let's give it, as much positive energy as we can and as much positive action. And we'll get far better results that way than we will by demonstrating and protesting and trying to, create super spreader events and silly things like that. We need to all start to become a little bit more responsible. Now, we still have Jupiter, the planet of opportunity and expansion, sitting in Aquarius. Now, why do I think this is important? Well, Jupiter to me is the opportunity to expand our thinking, is to have those light bulb moments again. So we've got a couple of opportunities looming around us at the moment where we could have some breakthrough opportunities and some real solutions to answers that have been troubling us. Now, Jupiter to me is the collective here of we all together. It's not the love that we're given, it's the love that we're receiving. So we're sort of looking at, receiving sort of so many ideas or so many collective thoughts that in a loving sort of way, maybe that's where the light bulb moments are going to come from, because people aren't going to be sitting so much in their own ego, but it's coming from a place of love and humanity and wanting to get some solutions and answers to the things that are troubling the world at the moment. So this is a good thing. This hopefully will overspill into things like climate change as well, and sort of just really being more humanitarian than what we've been in recent events. There's been so many things around the world where I think we could have collectively maybe handled it slightly better than we did. But, in hindsight, it's a wonderful thing. We always look back and say, we could have done this better or could have done that better. But at the time, I do believe people make the best decisions that they can with the information and the tools that they have. But it's always wonderful to say, we could have done this better. Well, maybe that's a learning curve for potentially, hopefully not another time, but, it's there in the memory bank there that we've got other solutions that we can draw on if we were in a similar situation. So I want to wrap up the astrology section with this little part now. Now, we talk about the moon quite often on this show. Now, the moon only stays in a sign for about 2.5 days. Now, we've just all come the tail end now of the full moon in Aquarius, which has been a blue moon. Now, what does a blue moon mean? It means the blue moon is the moon for the second time in the same energy in a 30-day period, which is why it's called once in a blue moon. So we've just come out of that, or we're coming out of that. The moon has just gone into Aries. Now, Aries is the planet of action. It's about me first. I want to look at me. Conjunct the part of fortune, which is known as an Arabian part. So it's not necessarily saying where we're going to find our fortune or our pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but I feel what it's sharing with us here is with, the tail end of the full moon and the early part of the Aries moon is it's asking us to really sort of dig deep about what can we do on a selfish or a self-centered way to help heal ourselves, because we've got it conjunct Chiron, which is the planet of the wounded healer. So emotionally, we have the tools in our toolkit to help heal anything on an emotional level that has been affecting us. Now, it's a really selfish sort of time that I'm asking for the next 48 hours where you dig deep in yourself, look at yourself and ask yourself, what is it that I can heal? What can I do that's going to bring my life more into balance? And I have the tools in my toolkit now to do this and do it quickly. So we're going to talk to Linda in Monteith in Michigan in the USA. Are you there, Linda?
Yes.
Do you have a question I can work with, please, Linda?
No, just in general, everything's going to be okay. And
okay. Yeah, we can look at that for you, Linda. Yeah, Linda, the first thing that they were showing me is And it's not just because we've been in a pandemic, but I'm going to say this last 18 months to 2 years have been about a series of things that you've been bringing to a completion. It's like, you had a lot of things on your plate that you finally brought them to fruition, that you can sort of finally say, yes, I've dealt with that. I've been able to look at that and put that up on the shelf. I can open up now or begin to open up to new and exciting prospects and things being a little bit easier in your life. You're the salt of the earth sort of person, Linda. You don't sort of necessarily sit in any sort of pretense or pretend to be something that you're not. What you see is what you get with you. And you sort of feel this last 18 months, it's like it's been a never-ending battle. It's like walking up a very steep hill, and it's like I never seem to get to the top. Well, let me assure you, you're very close to the top. You'll be able to sit up there and have a little bit of a rest before you go down the other side. So I feel from September this year, things are going to slowly start to sort of open up. So be very careful what you send out to the universe. Now, by that, I mean what comes out of your mouth. Don't say things like, oh, I hate my job, I wish I didn't have it. Because if you say that, then the universe will think, oh, Linda doesn't want a job, we'll get rid of it for her. So we've got to be very careful in how we sort of voice things, because the universe is listening and hoping to assist you. So we want them assisting in the right ways, not necessarily in things that you've just said in anger for the moment. So is there potentially some sort of change coming up with your work, Linda, sort of potentially a promotion or moving you into another role?
No. I retired last year to take care of my husband that died from cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. So, all right, well, if you're not necessarily going back to work, are you going to be opening yourself up to looking to do something more that would make your heart sing?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's good. Look, I'm really sorry that you lost your husband. No wonder they were sort of showing me it's been such a struggle for you in this time, and that's very understandable. And I mean, even though you knew there was a chance he wasn't going to make it, it doesn't make it any easier when the time comes. So I feel now that, that makes a lot of sense to me, that, how they were showing me that you were coming out and you were going to blossom. So I feel from next month, things are going to get a lot easier. I'm still going to go back to, because I'm going to say what I asked you about the work, because to me, I could see money around it. Now, whether or not that's just going to be a hobby or something that you do that you enjoy doing, and someone says, oh, would you make one of them for me? I'll pay you. Or could you do that for me and I'll pay you? There was extra money coming in.
Fantastic.
Pardon?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I said there's extra money coming in. I don't say it's a huge amount, but there's some extra money coming in, which is always handy. Are you looking to either make changes to where you're living or planning a move?
No, I've recently moved
Right.
here with my daughter to
Right.
help her take care of another family member that's on hospice. So
Oh,
I just jump into
I'm
one
sorry.
fire into another.
Okay. Look, it's not my place to predict how long they've got, but to me, where you're living, I could see changes or movement or something different happening around that environment. So that may sort of fit in with what you've just said. But
Right.
I still feel that there's going to be next year a reorganisation of where you're living. So, after you've taken care of the family member, would it be fair to say then that you and your daughter would sort of revisit this whole arrangement?
Well, it's supposed to be when the family member passes, then I'll have a lifetime dowry.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully I'll be
Okay.
staying here and not moving again.
I didn't necessarily mean moving, but I could just see things sort of being reorganised or freshened up, or, the purchase of some new furniture or doing some
definitely.
decorating or something like that. It was sort of like they were showing me it was going to be different to the way it is now. And I felt really excited about that. So, I do feel that there's a lot more to look forward to. So I think you just need to listen to your instincts and just, keep yourself from getting overtired. Linda, and just know that 2022 is going to be a much different and a much more positive year than this one's been.
Well, that gives me something to look forward to.
It certainly does, Linda. I'll keep you in my prayers. We're going to speak with Holly now in Waterford in Mississippi. Are you there, Holly? So we'll just be waiting on Holly. It's always difficult when you've had a loss in your family and somebody that you were particularly close to, like a partner or a husband or a wife, and then to sort of try and pick yourself up and move on as Linda's done, and then move into the same sort of role again of taking care of someone else. It's sort of, it can seem very arduous. It can seem like the days are very long and dark, and you don't understand why everything all comes together at once. But sometimes that's just the way it's designed by fate. I'm a firm believer in our lives are mapped out for us before we get here. Our choice comes in whether we take the easy road or the hard road. And, sometimes we don't even really know what the difference is. We just get to a decision and we think, oh, that's the right way to go because it feels right. And sometimes it may be the longer route than what we were taking. So we're going to go back to Holly now. Are you there, Holly?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Holly. Do you have a question I can work with, please, sweetie?
Can you repeat that?
Do you have a question you'd like me to answer for you, please?
Yeah, I wanted to know if I will be able to move out soon and find another place to live.
Okay, we can look at that for you, Holly. Okay, Holly, the first thing that they're showing me that this has been a year of stop, start, stop, start. I don't seem to feel as if I've got any traction going this year yet. But, sometimes they're years that we need to go through because it's sort of clearing a lot of old issues and situations out of the road quicker than we would have if they just came along at a snail's pace. Now, having answered that part of your question, yes, I do see a move coming up. I do see the opportunity to sort of make the decision in probably the first 10 days of September. So that's not that far away. I'm not saying sit on your hands until the 1st of September or September 1. I'm saying from any time now, I feel the opportunity is there, but I feel it's stronger in that first week or so of September, where we really find the place that you want to move to, where you can sort of settle in for a while. It's like I feel like I've been in transit for such a long time, Holly. I want to just sort of be able to stand still for a while and say I'm home. And that's what you're sort of looking for, somewhere that can be a much more long-term permanent arrangement than what you've had. Now,
right.
There's going to be some other changes that are going to take place around this. And it's not necessarily are they caused by the move, but it's like they're simultaneously happening after the move. It's like things in your life are going to really turn around and start to become a lot easier than what they were. If you're in a job that you're not particularly happy with, or you don't know that there's enough hours, or you're not sure whether it's steady or whatever, I'm going to say that's going to resolve itself too, because I'm seeing a much more stable position coming with a job. Now, they didn't necessarily show it to me as a brand new job. They just showed me the job situation becoming a lot more stable, that you can sort of depend on it. It's like the hours are set. I know exactly how much money I've got coming in from week to week, so I can start to get on top of my finances again and start to take control of that. And that's a good thing, because it seems like everything's been bouncing around, Holly, for such a long time that I just want to sort of put the brakes on everything and just sort of say, right, now we can start to budget. Now we can start to see the direction that we can be going, and we can start to set some short-term goals to achieve along the way. Also, too, they're showing me the improvement around love. Now, I don't quite know how to take that. Does that mean that you're in a long-term relationship that's been a bit rocky and it'd be nice for things to improve, or is it improvement because someone new's coming in? They didn't clarify that for me. So are you
No, I'm not with anyone right now.
Okay. Is that by choice, Holly, that you're not with anyone because you sort of felt there was other areas of your life that needed more attention?
Yeah, I kind of felt like I needed to be more independent and financially stable first before finding somebody. It makes things a little bit easier, when you're dating and all of that. The person will see that you have, that you're able to, provide for yourself, that sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I'm a firm believer in that. You've got to be comfortable in your own skin before you should attract somebody else to share your life with you, even if it is only in a dating situation. Well, that's good because they were showing me that there was going to be improvement in love, but I didn't see that till next year. So to me, that's going to be whatever way love takes its shape and form next year, which I think will be a new relationship. And I don't think it's going to be much before February, March. It's certainly going to be improvement on the past. So, Holly, I need to wrap up now because we've come to the end of the show, but I can assure you the move is the first part of everything starting to come right in your world. It's like once we get you somewhere where you feel settled and you feel secure, then we're going to see you fly and shine, and a lot of wonderful things are coming your way, Holly. So just keep strong, keep looking, and it's all going to happen, and you're going to do really, really well from here on in, Holly. So it's been lovely to talk with Holly and Linda today. We have come to the end of the show. So I hope in this next week that you sort of try and find some ways of improving your own physical health, your diet, health, lifestyle, looking at what you're doing or what you're not doing, and maybe get out and get some fresh air and some exercise and new perspective on life. So until next week, it's time to sort of really take care of ourselves, and I think music's a very, very big part of that. So until next week, bye for now.